Hello students, Dr. Preeti Balasina here addressing you all. Today's lecture is meant for the students of third semester with English Honours. The topic is an essay on national prejudices by Oliver Goldsmith. Oliver Goldsmith was an Irish novelist, essayist, playwright and a poet. Born in Ireland, he settled in London. Interesting is to note that he studied medicine at Edinburgh, but he did not join the medical line. He was more inclined towards the literary world. Among his best friends were such literary luminaries of the time like Samuel Johnson, James Boswell, Sir Joshua Reynolds, and Edmund Burke. He became famous as an English writer. He is the author of the essay collection The Citizen of the World. He is best known for his novel The Vicar of Wakefield, his pastoral poem The Deserted Village, and his two plays The Good-Natured Man and He Stoops to Conquer. I remember my school days when we used to perform the play She Stoops to Conquer and the audience used to enjoy it. About Oliver Goldsmith, many critics have written. Boswell, in his Life of Johnson, writes, quote, "No man had the art of displaying with more advantage as a writer whatever literary acquisitions he made. His mind resembled a fertile but thin soil." Unquote. I repeat, no man had the art of displaying with more advantage as a writer whatever literary acquisitions he made. His mind resembled a fertile but thin soil. Unquote. The essay on national prejudices was first published in the British Magazine in August 1760. Goldsmith argues that it is possible to love one's own country without hating the natives of other countries. In a very dramatic way, he starts relating his encounter with half a dozen elderly Englishmen engaged in a conversation about the different characters of the nations of Europe. A gentleman, whom the author calls my pseudo-patriot, assumed an air of importance as if he had possessed all the merits of the English nation. That man declared that the Dutch, the French, the Germans, and the Spaniards all were inferior to Englishmen. The man declared thus, quote, "The Dutch were a parcel of avaricious wretches, the French a set of flattering sycophants, that the Germans were drunken sots and beastly gluttons, and the Spaniards proud, haughty, and surly tyrants, but that in bravery, generosity, clemency, and in every other virtue, the English excelled all the rest of the world." Unquote. I would like to repeat, the Dutch were a parcel of avaricious wretches, the French a set of flattering sycophants, that the Germans were drunken sots and beastly gluttons, and the Spaniards proud, haughty and surly tyrants, but that in bravery, generosity, clemency, and in every other virtue, the English excelled all the rest of the world. Mark the lines. Do you notice any remarkable thing here? Yes. The man, so-called pseudo-patriot, definitely suffers from superiority complex. His love for own nation increases to the extent that he hates the people of other nations. Now coming to the discussion, all present elderly men agreed except Goldsmith. The man wanted everyone to agree with him. Contrarily, our author stated that he would not make such a broad statement unless he had made a careful study of the people of different European nations. Here, do you agree with his statement? I would like to ask all of you. I think no. One should never give any opinion without knowing the matter in a complete manner. Goldsmith suggested that the Dutch might actually be good handlers of money, the French self-restrained, the Germans hard workers, and the Spaniards dignified and deliberate. Further, while Goldsmith agreed that the English have good qualities, he stated that they might also have some poorer qualities. They might also be, as he stated, quote, rash, headstrong, and impetuous, too apt to be elated with prosperity and to despond in adversity, unquote. I repeat, rash, headstrong, and impetuous, too apt to be elated with prosperity and to despond in adversity, unquote. Goldsmith's opinion was condemned. He was criticized for being unpatriotic and for enjoying all the benefits of a citizen. The author preferred to retire to his lodgings, reflecting on the prejudiced view of the so-called gentleman and lover of nation. Further, we see that Goldsmith tries to convince his point by tracing from the past the role of a philosopher who, on being asked what countryman he was, he told that he was a citizen of the world. Goldsmith convinces us that we are now become so much Englishmen, Frenchmen, Dutchmen, Spaniards, and Germans that we are no longer citizens of the world. In fact, even educated men of high rank often brag about the great qualities of their nation. While it is natural for a person to love his or her country, it is not natural to take this love to the extreme of prejudice. Goldsmith states that the unnatural outgrowth of prejudice from love is similar to the outgrowth of superstition from religion. I think you are getting my point, and also what Goldsmith is trying to convince us. We must follow our religion. We are born with our religion, isn't it? So we must follow our religion, but not to the point of hating the religion of any other person. Likewise, we must love our country, but we must not love it to the extent of hating the people of other nations. The point Goldsmith tries to get across is that we shouldn't be people who believe and say we belong to certain group, region, or society. Rather, we should be people of the world. The second thing he talks about is that prejudices infect mind and influence conduct, and that prejudices can only be fixed by reading, traveling, and conversing with foreigners. Then only we could learn to appreciate each other and become united. Here, it would be better to quote what Goldsmith says as the spokesperson of philosopher. Quote, "We should be the people of the world, not people of a group or society or a specific origin." Unquote. I repeat, quote, "We should be people of the world, not people of a group or society or a specific origin." Unquote. The author shows that he is very formal in his style of writing. The word choice is smart and complex. He seems to use I quite frequently, perhaps to convey a personal struggle. This writing style is reminiscent of Old English literature, but then he makes us think on abstract ideas due to such sentences as, quote, "which to a person of contemplative turn is a much higher entertainment than a view of all the curiosities of art or nature." Unquote. I repeat, quote, "which to a person of contemplative turn is a much higher entertainment than a view of all the curiosities of art or nature." Unquote. The paragraph development is developed sequentially as he takes us step after step, building up thoughts in a logical fashion. The apt use of metaphors adds beauty to his style of writing. Dr. Johnson was not wrong when he talked about the greatness of this author, stating thus, quote, "But let not his failings be remembered. He was a very great man." Unquote. I repeat, "But let not his failings be remembered. He was a very great man." Unquote. This lecture, I think, will benefit you and will make you understand the right way to think about any matter. Like, you should never give any opinion without having a complete knowledge of that matter or of that topic. Similarly, you can love your nation, you can love your religion, but not to that point of hating anyone's religion or anyone's nation. I would like that each one of you must go through each and every line of the essay so that you will be able to understand it in a very proper manner. Thank you.